Hello, I'm Miss Brenna, and today I'm reading from A Girl, a Raccoon, and the Midnight Moon. I'm reading an excerpt from this novel with the kind permission of Chronicle Books. This book takes place at a library in New York City. It is recommended for grades 4 through 8. The AR level is 5.3 and the Lexile level is 780. We have print copies of this book available, and you can reserve a copy at your local Lake County Public Library branch. Part 1. The Turning Point. Had I known that you were going, I would have given you messages for her. To one who might have borne a message by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Before the Scream, August 28th. The scream was so loud it could have been building up for a lifetime. It had sure been brewing inside Pearl even before she woke that late August morning. It heated up as she and Mom waited for their takeout order at the Cozy Soup and Burger on 7th Avenue. It bubbled and percolated as they walked the damp early sidewalks to the library. Mom in her heels, Pearl in her black cloth Chinatown shoes with the buckle straps. Unaware of anything unusual, Pearl climbed the steps and leaned the cardboard tray of coffees on the curve of the wrought iron banister, while Mom found the front door keys and pushed inside. She held the door for Pearl, and they stepped into the foyer. A cool, dark floor of speckled marble, the waxy smell of old oak, the metallic, rhythmic tick of the pendulum in the brass clock on the wall behind the circulation desk. Frosted glass and the diamond-shaped panes, soft light from the back hallway that led to the garden, the library. Mom stepped into the shadows of the stairwell and called up toward the roof. "Anybody home?" "Hiya," came a distant yodeling voice. Bruce Chambers, the library manager, was already up there in his office, toiling over the proposals he was making to the library board. Proposals to fix things up, bring patrons in, make ends meet, and keep the library from looking too worn out compared to the new Knickerbocker branch. Bruce knew his branch's days were numbered. Pearl went to check the book drop, pulling the cart from under the slut. Only 6 books had been returned in the night. Not surprising, since not many books went out in the day. Pearl carried Bruce's coffee and cinnamon swirl donut to him. Up the spiral stairs, past the children's room on the 2nd floor, to the 3rd floor, and into Bruce's rat's nest of an office. It was a tall rat's nest. The 3rd floor ceiling of the library was extra high, with edges that Ramon, the reference librarian, said were called dental molding because they looked like square white teeth nibbling at the tasty edges of the walls. The piles of books, papers, magazines, newspapers, journals, catalogs, and mail may as well have been the recycling heaps outside the newsstand on the corner. The highest cabinets towered higher because of the things stored on top. An empty birdcage, rolls and rolls of posters from book conferences, old stacked up coffee cups, and, most impressive of all, the head of the Ranger Rick raccoon costume that Bruce had brought from the Catskills National Park 5 years ago when Pearl was 5. When he'd quit being a park manager and come to manage the library instead. Made of chicken wire and fleece and fake fur, Ranger Rick's head stood propped eyeless and eerie over an old metal garbage can turned upside down. Below the head, the gray fleece body hung from a cabinet door on a massive hanger and was still long enough to wrinkle on the floor. In the middle of all this, behind a cluttered desk, was Bruce himself. Dark brown skin with black hair like a wire brush, big glasses, and tall enough to reach the top of the tallest pile atop the cabinet. He called himself inwardly organized, since he could always find what he was looking for in his rat's nest. Pearl called him outwardly a disaster because, well, what a mess. She stepped through, never on, all the junk he said he was going to need someday, placed the coffee in his hands, and wended her way to the window. "Aren't you going to sing out with me?" Pearl said, dodging a box of discarded catalog cards. Last year, Mom had said the office smelled like a rat's nest as well as looked like one. Once a day, she had insisted, just once, open the window for 10 seconds. Bruce had opened the window and sung out, "Ah, sweet mystery of life, at last I found you." "You're an idiot," Mom had said happily, squeezing his arm. "Try it, it's great," Bruce had said to her and Pearl. The three of them had done it together just that once. "Ah, sweet mystery of life, at last I found you." Their voices swept out over the garden, over the head of the statue down there, over the flowers at her feet, into the tall pine trees where birds and bats nested and raccoons nestled. Pearl fell in love with the echo of their voices off the buildings. Since then, it had become part of her and Bruce's morning routine. But now he didn't pay any attention to her. He just waved his hand rapidly, distractedly, toward the window and bent his head over the papers. So Pearl cleared her throat, looked down into the garden, and opened her mouth to sing out to the world. But when she saw what was down there, she screamed. There had never been anything like Pearl's scream. The scream had horror in it. It had shock. It had fear. And it had loss. What was lost? A head. A stone head. The stone head of the stone statue that stood in the library garden. It was a statue of Edna St. Vincent Millay, Vincent for short, as she had referred to herself, the famous poet who used to live right around here. Who lost her? The whole city, actually. The taxpayers of New York. They were to whom the statue belonged. But most of all, the library had lost her. The whole library. But most of all, the Lancaster Avenue branch. The Lancaster Avenue branch, but most of all, almost 11-year-old Pearl Moran. That's who loved her the most. What an exciting start to a book. You'll have to read it to solve the mystery of what happened to the statue's head. I hope you have a great day, stay healthy, and take care. Bye.